Okay, so in the last video, we have created a user controller, user service, user module, user DTO. Just a basic implementation of creating a user in database using type ORM. And we also set synchronization true in the type ORM config so that whenever you were changing the entities, the database was getting updated real time whenever you start the application. Now, next thing is let's understand this flow. We need to create a local strategy. Auth service also, because we haven't created auth module, auth service, auth controller that will create, and we will also introduce the passport module, Nestjs passport, for initializing the session and saving the session. So first we will create a local strategy. First let's check our sign up. So here I just checked this user sign up API which we have created in the last video, and it works fine. I am able to create a new user in the system. Now let's create a auth module, auth controller, all these passport strategies, guards, serializer. So we need auth controller, auth service, and we can create a auth module, right? Rest we also need to create a strategy, guard, and I think serializer. These are the three things we need. Strategy at least we need. So we will create a auth strategy first, and we are using passport local strategy, which works with a simple implementation where you need a username password for the login, because local strategy will help us to log in. We are not going to write a logic in the user service. Local strategy will take care of adding or validating the username and the password. So I have installed Nestjs passport local, these helper modules. And now we will write a simple local strategy, which is injectable class. Inside this, we will just define, okay, export class, local strategy, extend a passport strategy. Be careful with this because I need to deal with the different versions, and different versions are not compatible. Local strategy also, we will just try to refactor it later. But local strategy doing nothing much. It is just adding auth service. And inside this method, we are just going to write a validate. And so what this validate method is doing, auth service.validate user. It is using auth service. Dependency injected auth service, and auth service is just validating a user based on username and password that will tell us, okay, user is valid or not, user exists in database with the same password or not, right? Now next thing is this local strategy, and then we can create auth service. Auth service is nothing but a simple service. Let's rename the local strategy with auth service, so we don't need to write the whole thing again and again. Auth service, and auth service again I think going to use user service. Right, we have two modules, user module, auth module. Auth module is going to use user module, user service. So here we have injected user service inside auth service, and that is just validate user. That means whatever the username, password, because auth module doesn't deal with the database. Auth module is dealing with the data, session, these strategies and all. User module deals with the database. So don't need to populate the type ORM thing everywhere. So user auth module just is adding user service. User service already talks to database. So we are fine. You just do find by email. Find by email. Okay, we have a username. That's a string. So if user exists with that email, then we will just use it. So that is just a auth service, which is doing just a validate user. So here we'll fix that username or password. We are just passing the validate user, which is actually validating everything. Auth service. So here it is email and password. So here you might get confused little later. I'm explaining you now. Passport local strategy works with a username and password. So you can consider email as a username here. And we inside this validate user, we are calling the auth service. Auth service is again calling user service, which is actually comparing the username and the password. Okay, this is the logic is written here. It is doing all calculations. Now we come back to our auth service. Auth service is doing validate user and comparing the password and all. So first of all, find by email. Okay, user exists with the email, yes. Then let's compare the password. If compare password is same as whatever is stored in database in the hash version, and whatever you are passing, if both are okay, that means the user is valid. That we are doing in an auth service. So we just divided the responsibility of auth service and user service. Very simple. Now let's check on what we are going to write in the auth controller. So auth controller is another thing. Inside auth controller, we will just try to write a simple authentication API. We are going to use auth guard, simple login API, which will just take a username and password. If the authentication works, we will just return the cookies using express session. So this is our simple route. So now here we are using auth guard, use guard, auth guard, and post login. So whenever you hit a request to this controller, it will directly take you to the local strategy, which is doing nothing but validating the user. It is talking to auth service is talking to user service, and that's it. So this is how we are going to deal with the local strategy. Now let's check this end-to-end implementation in the next video.